Stephanie White's got a challenge left. All right, when that foul took place, CBS said she's got a challenge left. Well, it didn't matter. She couldn't use it. She couldn't use it. So, yeah, does this sort of help? Yeah, I guess it does, even though there was some real coaching deficiencies today. Stephanie White could not challenge that foul call on Lexi Hull, the one that led to the game-winning free throws from Sabrina Ionescu, because she did.
The WNBA officiating scandal has hit a breaking point, and tonight the league may finally be held accountable. A controversial no call in the closing seconds of the Indiana Fever vs. New York Liberty game has sparked outrage. Fans, analysts, and even coach Stephanie White are demanding answers and accountability.
Clark has to get open. Doesn't get the shot off. Cloud.
The play in question, Caitlin Clark was blatantly hacked by Natasha Cloud on a potential game-tying drive. No whistle, no review, just silence from the officials. Earlier in the game, a phantom foul on Lexi Hull handed Sabrina Ionescu game-sealing free throws. The Fever lost by 2, but the real story is far bigger. WNBA referees are out of control, and tonight they may have finally gone too far.
Grinch and ruin all.
Puts it on the deck. 1-2 step with the Clark gets to the.
This isn't just one bad call. It's a blatant pattern of bias so obvious that even casual fans are crying foul. Over the last 2 games, the Fever have faced a staggering 31 free throw discrepancy, despite consistently attacking the paint. Coach Stephanie White didn't hold back post-game, slamming the officiating as egregious and disrespectful. And she's absolutely right. If this were the NBA, there'd be fines, suspensions, maybe even a public apology. But in the WNBA, nothing but silence. Meanwhile, social media is in full meltdown, with fans and analysts alike calling these officials the worst in sports history. Yes, even worse than the NFL's infamous Hold My Beer cruise.
Work advantage. Sees 2 defenders, spin, dribble, draws 3.
The real question is this sheer incompetence or something more sinister? Caitlin Clark, the league's biggest star, isn't getting a single superstar call, while defenders hack her with 0 consequences. The optics? Absolutely damning. The WNBA has never had this much spotlight, yet instead of riding the wave, they're letting the refs sabotage their golden goose. If the league doesn't step in now, they risk losing the very fan base they've worked so hard to build. We're breaking down every angle of this growing scandal, from the blown calls to the league's stunning silence. Drop a like if you think these refs need to be held accountable, subscribe for more explosive coverage, and share this before the WNBA tries to sweep it under the rug.
What's so crazy about this game is that even though there were 3 seconds left, the Fever still got the ball back. And who do they get the ball to? None other than Caitlin Clark. So Caitlin Clark gets the ball. She's going up for a 3. And Natasha Cloud, she said otherwise. She swatted the ball out of Caitlin Clark's hands. And this was definitely a little bit of another controversial play.
The game-changing no call that ignited outrage came with just 10 seconds left. The Fever trailing by 2. Caitlin Clark drove aggressively to the rim, only to get absolutely mauled by Natasha Cloud. The replays were crystal clear. Arm contact, body contact, even a wild swipe at the ball that missed completely. And yet, the refs said nothing. No foul, no review. Just a turnover and a Liberty win. Fans watching at home were furious, and rightfully so. This wasn't a borderline call. This was blatant, undeniable, daylight robbery. Even neutral analysts were stunned, with some calling it the worst no call of the entire WNBA season.
New York led by as many as 15 in this game as Clouds needed 2.
She has the best plus-minus on.
But here's what makes it even worse. This wasn't a one-off. All game long, Caitlin Clark was hacked, grabbed, and bodied without a single whistle. Meanwhile, the Liberty were getting touch fouls called in their favor. The final free throw. Tally? New York 22, Indiana 8. That's not just bad officiating. That's a statistical anomaly that screams bias. Even if you want to argue that the Fever made mistakes, no team should have to claw their way through a 14 free throw deficit. just to have a shot at competing.
And that starts every single day in what we do right here with each other, for each other. Right, excited about the opportunity we have. Starts right now. Wait till we get the outlet. Wait till we get the outlet, go. But number one priority, we're gonna be shot makers. We gotta give great shooters passes every time. So we can't run like this, but you're running looking for the ball. Good job, great rotation. We gotta attack, we gotta move, we gotta share the ball. You're not conceding getting beat, okay? You're guarding. We gotta be active, we gotta be aware, and we've got to anticipate at all times. We're not gonna be...
Coach Stephanie White didn't hold back after the game, and neither should we. I thought she got fouled. It's pretty egregious what's been happening to us, she told reporters. And she's absolutely right. If this had happened to LeBron or Luka, the league would have already released a last 2-minute report admitting the mistake. But for Caitlin Clark, nothing. Silence. The WNBA's refusal to address this isn't just negligence. It's a slap in the face to every fan who's shown up to support this rising superstar and the league's growth.
The New York Liberty hands the Indiana Fever their second loss of the season, with many fans blaming the referees for their horrible officiating at the end of the game.
The phantom foul that sealed the Fever's fate came just before Caitlin Clark's no call. Rewind to the previous possession. Lexi Hull was whistled for a highly questionable foul on Sabrina Ionescu's drive, sending her to the line for 2 clutch free throws. Replays showed minimal contact at best, but the refs blew the whistle anyway. Here's the kicker. Coach Stephanie White couldn't even challenge the call. CBS announcers pointed out she still had a challenge remaining, but because the Fever didn't have a full timeout left, she wasn't allowed to use it. That technicality cost Indiana any chance to overturn the call, and ultimately, the game.
Take over, the refs cook up some wild calls to stop.
This is where the officiating crosses into shady territory. If the refs are going to make a ticky-tack call in crunch time, the very least they can do is allow the coach to challenge it. Instead, Stephanie White was left powerless, stripped of any recourse, and that call effectively iced the game. To make matters worse, the CBS broadcast misled fans by saying White still had a challenge, only for viewers to later find out it was meaningless without a full timeout. That's not just bad officiating, that's a systemic failure, and it robbed the Fever of a fair shot.
Big bounce back win versus Atlanta are up for their first real test of the season as from the Big Apple, but as the game gets...
Imagine if this happened in the NBA. There'd be viral outrage, ESPN specials, and maybe even referee suspensions. But in the WNBA, nothing. Just another night where the Fever get robbed and the league acts like it's no big deal. If the WNBA wants to be taken seriously, they have to fix this. Otherwise, fans will start to believe the worst, that this isn't just incompetence, but something far more intentional. The staggering 31 free throw discrepancy is clear proof of bias. Let's break down the numbers, because they don't lie. Over the last 2 games, the Indiana Fever have been outshot at the free throw line by a jaw-dropping 31 attempts. That's not bad luck. That's hard evidence of a glaring officiating imbalance. For context, the Fever have been attacking the rim just as aggressively as their opponents, yet they're barely getting any whistles in their favor. If this were a 1-game fluke, maybe you could brush it off. But 2 games in a row? That's a pattern you can't ignore.
Do for you. I don't have that luxury. Nice give and go. Clark right at the cup, and she gets the where she's dangerous. Leaves it behind for. There's just 25.
Compare this to how other teams are officiating. Superstars like Aja Wilson and Brianna Stewart routinely get respectful foul calls when they drive to the basket. But Caitlin Clark? She gets hammered on nearly every drive. And the refs act like they're watching a completely different game. What's even more damning, Indiana's opponents are shooting more free throws, despite committing more fouls. How does that even happen? Either the Fever are the unluckiest team in sports, or there's something seriously wrong with how they're being officiated.
And charge Kelsey with a blocking foul. Then nudges CC here, but the referee in front.
Stephanie White called it disrespectful, and she's absolutely right. The WNBA is a players' league, and the best talents are supposed to get the benefit of the doubt on close calls. Yet Caitlin Clark, the most electrifying player in years, is getting the exact opposite treatment. If the league doesn't step up and address this soon, they risk alienating the millions of new fans Clark has brought in. Right now, it looks like the refs are working against her. The bigger, and far more troubling, issue is whether the WNBA is actively rigging games against Clark.
Opportunities for our team, for our league, and of course to bring, special talents back home.
Conspiracy theories are running wild, and honestly, the league has only itself to blame. The numbers don't lie. Caitlin Clark is drawing an impressive 5.8 fouls per game, ranking third in the WNBA. But when it comes to free throw attempts, she's only getting 3.2 per game, 24th in the league. Compare that to Aja Wilson, who averages 6.1 free throw attempts per game, or Brianna Stewart at 5.9. And the gap looks statistically suspicious. Even accounting for Clark's reliance on three-point shooting, her drives to the rim happen 50% more often than Stewart's, yet she's getting roughly half the whistles. So what's going on? Either every WNBA ref is missing the calls on Clark, or there's an unspoken mandate to let defenders play harder against her, a privilege not extended to her opponents.
And everyone, thank you for joining us. We're just admitting a few more people, and we are joined by Coach Stephanie White, DeWanna Bonner, and Caitlin Clark. If you would, please use the raised hand function to indicate that you have a question, and we will go directly to question and answers for...
Follow the money trail, and things get even murkier. While longtime WNBA partners like State Farm and Deodim have remained silent, Caitlin Clark's personal sponsors, Nike and Gatorade, are reportedly furious. Sources tell Black and White Sports that representatives from both companies have privately pressured the league to address the officiating issues. One executive allegedly said, "We're paying for the Caitlin Clark show, not the referee reality series." What? Meanwhile, ticket prices for Fever road games have skyrocketed, up 300% in some markets, but fans in Chicago and Phoenix are pushing back. Demanding refunds over what they call rigged entertainment. The league is dangerously close to disaster. Legal sports betting is now live in 38 states, and regulators are paying close attention to the strange foul disparities. Nevada Gaming Control Board member Carl Benson told The Athletic. When officiating becomes this inconsistent, it crosses from sportsmanship concerns into potential integrity issues. Translation: if even one state launches an investigation, the WNBA could face a scandal far worse than the Tim Donaghy betting scandal. The clock is ticking for Commissioner Kathy Ungert to act before federal lawmakers get involved.
And Henry does. Fake the handoff to McKinnon.
The NFL comparison: why WNBA referees might actually be worse. Let's be clear, NFL officiating has its own messes, from the Tuck Rule controversy to the infamous no call in the 2018 Saints-Rams NFC Championship. Football fans have suffered some of the most notorious blown calls in sports history. But here's why the WNBA's crisis is even more dangerous. In the NFL, bad calls tend to balance out over time. The Lions get robbed on a phantom pass interference one week, then might benefit from a questionable holding call the next. The Fever's 31 free throw disparity over just 2 games? That's not random, it's systemic. Caitlin Clark has been held to 0 free throws in 4 full quarters, twice this season. That's a stat unimaginable for any NBA superstar. Even Zion Williamson, who takes 70% of his shots at the rim, hasn't been held to 0 free throw attempts in a single game since his rookie year.
Might not have heard about this, but did you know the NFL just demoted 4 officials due to how they...
The accountability gap is staggering. After the Saints-Rams no call, the NFL quickly changed its replay rules. When the 2002 Kings-Lakers scandal broke, the NBA fired referee Tim Donaghy and completely overhauled its system. But the WNBA, there, referees face 0 public scrutiny. Not a single official has been fined, suspended, or even named in the league's vague internal reviews. The message is clear. There are no consequences for screwing over the Fever. The worst part? The NFL's mighty. Bad calls are usually just mistakes. The WNBA's, they feel intentional. When you watch Clark get tackled on a drive with no whistle, then see a Liberty player flinch and instantly get free throws, it's impossible to believe this is simply human error. The league's refusal to acknowledge the problem is turning conspiracy theories into accepted truths.
Action down low. Clark has to get open. Clark doesn't get the shot off. Locks her up.
What needs to happen now? The WNBA has 2 clear choices. Keep ignoring the problem and watch fans walk away. Take drastic action. Suspend the referees responsible, overhaul officiating standards, and protect their biggest stars. Fans need to make their voices heard. Tweet at the WNBA, demand accountability, and push for real change before it's too late.